What if the very things designed to make life easier are actually making our bodies weaker? Things like lift chairs, walk-in showers, mobility scooters, assistive devices for almost every daily activity. Now let me be clear. These tools can be incredibly helpful when they're truly needed. But what happens when we reach for them before we've addressed the real problem? What if many of the limitations we assume are caused by aging are actually caused by something else entirely? And what if the solution isn't more convenience, but rebuilding the strength we were never supposed to lose? Today on the Personalized Fitness Podcast. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Personalized Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Garrett Williamson, president of Personalized Fitness, and today we're continuing our conversation, as usual, my favorite topic, what I call the lie of age. And that's the ridiculous idea that physical decline is simply part of time passing on a calendar, simply part of getting older. At Personalized Fitness, we see something very different every day. We see people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, improving their strength, improving their balance, their mobility, and confidence. And what that tells us is something very important. Decline is not inevitable. Often, it's simply untrained ability. Now, listen, if you're interested in any more information about this topic or any others, or have any questions for the show, please feel free to reach out to us. You can call us on our podcast line, which is area code 251-278-3343. You can reach out to us on our website at www.personaledgefitness.com. Contact me directly, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com, or hit us up on our social media outlets, Facebook, Personal Edge Fitness, contact me via X, at Team PE. And always, you can always find all of our podcasts on our Facebook page, also our YouTube channel. All right, let's get into this, what I call the comfort trap. Modern life is built around convenience. I'm a fan. Cars replaced walking. Remote controls replaced getting up. There's several of you out there, I'm sure, when you were younger, you were actually the remote control. You told to go change the channel. Even food delivery has replaced cooking. But there's another category of convenience that affects seniors in particular. And these are assistive devices. Now, I talked about these a little bit in the teaser, but the examples of these things are like lift chairs, walk-in bathtubs, grabber tools, mobility scooters, specialized utensils, and even stair lifts. There's others out there also, but I'm not against such devices. Don't get me wrong. These tools, like what I say about food, the tools are not inherently bad. They can be extremely valuable when someone truly needs them. But the problem occurs when they become the first solution instead of the last solution, which is what they really are designed to be. If someone has difficulty standing up from a chair, the first question shouldn't be, should we buy a lift chair? The first question should be, all right, why can we not stand up? And can we strengthen the muscles that allow someone to stand? And keep in mind, if you've got communication to a muscle, and you've got, which is nerves, and you've got circulation to a muscle, you can grow it. If you have some joint disabilities that are most of them that are caused by weakness in a muscle, strengthening that muscle is going to overcome that. If stepping into a shower feels difficult, the first question shouldn't be, should we install a walk-in tub? It should be, can we improve balance and mobility? And by the way, real quick, the answer is absolutely. Yes, you can. You did it when you were a toddler, and then you let things go backwards, you can do it again. You can change those things. You can increase balance. You can increase mobility. As always, I like to back everything up I say with research, because what the research shows, a major study from the National Institute on Aging found that resistance training in adults over 65 can increase strength by 30 to 150% in as little as 3 months. So I hope you're not surprised to hear that. There's tons of studies about this. Now, another landmark study published in the Journal of American Geriatric Society found that strength training significantly improves balance, mobility, ability to stand from a chair, ability to climb stairs, even in adults into their 80s, past their 80s. Let's go with one more from the Tufts University. In 1994, a study showed that nursing home residents in their late 80s and early 90s increased leg strength by, get this, they increased their leg strength by 174% after just 8 weeks of resistance training. Now let that sink in. 90-year-olds gaining strength. That is not decline. That's untapped potential. That is tacking one of the 4 components, if not multiples of the 4 components of ability. Fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, which actually dictate ability. If you're enjoying today's discussion, you're listening to the Personalized Fitness Podcast. You can reach us anytime at personalizedfitness.com, me, Garrett at personalizedfitness.com, and of course our podcast line 251-278-3343. And if you want to dive deeper into the science behind this philosophy, my upcoming book, The Lie of Age, explores exactly why aging, why time passing on a calendar does not have to mean deterioration. All right, let's just get back to this now. We're going to get into something that I've started talking about, and now I'm going to start talking about it a lot more. I've kind of wanted to hold back on it because it sounds very dismal, but this concept of training people to die slower. One thing I often say is that many trainers unintentionally train seniors to die slower instead of live longer. They do ridiculous things like, because their client, and actually I've seen cases where a client has been working with a trainer for years, and simply because this client turned a certain number on the calendar, they automatically started using lighter weights. They started challenging them less. They went backwards. They went into a minimal progress. But the body doesn't respond to easy. The body responds to challenge. Muscles grow when they're challenged. Balance improves when it's challenged. Confidence grows when it's challenged. And by the way, when I say challenge, we say this quite often here. We do have clients that want to come in and they want to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. I get it. That's fantastic. We can do that. That's great. But once you get up to, what we call your level of wellness, the area where you want to be, I like this strength, this is great, I want to maintain this. Hey, fantastic. At least maintain it. Don't intentionally go backwards. You don't need everything around you to just become easier. This idea of, again, training people to die slower. And let me dive into that just a little bit, what I mean by that. And you've seen it, you've probably seen it around you. There are multiple programs out there, either through fitness centers, some of them are at community centers, some of them at churches, that they'll do a seniors exercise class. And automatically people think, okay, that's got to be sitting in a chair. It's tossing a balloon back and forth. It's doing simple things by just moving your arms. Or there was one class I know of that they had a walking track, and the big challenge they had people walk backwards for like 15, 20 steps. Listen, it's good to be doing something, but to inherently believe because time has passed on a calendar that now you cannot do regular resistance training, regular exercise. You cannot train a muscle like you did at another age strictly because you happen to be this number on the calendar. Is absurd. And it's what I call training people to die slower. Because as in the case I talked about earlier, of a client I know that was with a trainer for over 10 years, not at our facility. And as soon as that client turned 80 years old, the trainer actually told the client, okay, that's it. We're never going to pick weights anymore. We're just going to do body weight now. Now, there was no indication in her program, that we know this because this individual came and started working with us. There was no indication that this person couldn't do these things. They'd been doing them for a long time. They've been doing just good, consistent resistance training. But strictly because that number came up on the calendar, now we're going to stop. We're going to stop using weights. We're going to stop challenging the body. Well, Exercise Physiology 101 will tell you that you begin to atrophy muscle 72 hours after a workout. Your body is going to maintain the muscle at the level it is challenged. It's the reason that, let's say, a power lifter or a bodybuilder or somebody is working on the chest muscle. They're doing bench press, and they're building up strength so that they can bench press 315 pounds. You can pick up any number. I'm just making up these numbers. Well, the reason that particular individual would lose that strength is if they stop at least maintaining that strength. In other words, if it's let's get off of 315. I don't want to scare anybody with a big number. Let's say it's 120 pounds, whatever. Bench press of 120 pounds. If they automatically start training the body at the paramount of strength in that muscle is now 90 pounds. Well, the muscle, you're going to lose the muscle. You're going to lose that strength that you had at 120 pounds. You're not going to keep it. You don't build it up there. It just stays there. It has to be maintained. Doesn't have to get stronger if you don't want to, but it has to be maintained. So in this situation I was telling you about a minute ago, this trainer basically was detraining their client, if that's such a word. They were coming in. The client was paying the trainer money to make them lose strength, which of course is going to make them die slower. And the reason I say strength is so tied to morbidity. I mean mortality. Excuse me, morbidity also. But mortality is the fact that there's several studies about this. The incidence of mortality jumps by 2/3 with the first hip fracture. So if somebody breaks their hip, typically the reason you break your hip is because you lose the muscles that are around the hip. We stop doing any kind of lateral movement. That muscle degenerates. Therefore, we can't catch ourselves if we go to fall. And if we do fall, there's nothing to protect the bone, which breaks the hip. Why does the incidence of mortality jump by 2/3 with the first hip fracture? Well, if you can't move, circulation goes down, body fat goes up, activity goes down, basically your heart strength goes down, everything. That's why strength is directly tied to life expectancy. And so if we're making things easier, automatically, okay, I'm having trouble getting out of the chair, first thing I'm going to do is make the chair lift me up. Well, you're going to speed the process of death. You're going to speed up your degeneration. And we have this ridiculous notion that it's inevitable. We're bombarded with this all around. You're now older, and so this is going to happen. So you need these devices, and it's the only way you can keep going. No, it's actually speeding up your deterioration. Again, like I said at the beginning, if it is a last resort, absolutely. Big fan of something like that. But it should not be the first choice. It's like several physicians, even one of my relatives, would say all the time how many people would come in and clamor, try to get any reason for the doctor to give them a handicap placard to put in their car. They would fight for reasons for this. Again, this is encouraging degeneration. And that's no different than choosing one of these devices as making that your first choice. Before we accept limitation, we should always ask one question first. Is this truly aging? Is this truly time passing on a calendar? Or is it simply untrained ability? And helping people discover that answer is just, well, it's just one more way we help you reach your level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time.